The entire kingdom expected the Alpha King to restore his Luna. They were wrong. The Silvermoon Palace had never been more silent. Thousands of candles burned beneath the golden chandeliers. The royal banners hung perfectly along the marble walls. The nobles stood in their finest clothes. The council members sat at the long silver table. Everyone had come to witness a historic moment. They believed they already knew how the story would end. The Alpha King would return the moon crown. The Luna would accept it. The kingdom would celebrate. Everything would return to the way it was. But they did not know Ava Reynolds. They did not know what she had learned during the last 7 days. They did not know that the woman who once dreamed of wearing the moon crown had discovered something more important than a title. Her own voice. Ava stood at the entrance of the grand hall. Her midnight blue gown flowed quietly behind her. The silver embroidery reflected the warm candlelight. Her long chestnut brown hair rested over her shoulders. She looked exactly like the Luna everyone remembered. Graceful, elegant, beautiful. But Noah Bennett saw the difference. The Alpha King saw what everyone else missed. Ava was no longer waiting for approval. She was no longer searching for his eyes. She was no longer the woman who stood quietly beside him and hoped he would notice her sacrifices. She looked like someone who had finally remembered her own worth. Noah stood before the throne. In his hands was the moon crown, the silver symbol of the Luna of Silvermoon Kingdom. The same crown Ava had removed during the renewal feast. The same crown that had once represented everything she believed about their bond. Noah looked at it differently now. For years, he believed the crown represented his love, his protection, his promise. But after watching Ava place it down and walk away, he understood something painful. The crown had never protected her. The title had never given her a voice. And his love had never been enough when his actions made her feel invisible. Ava stepped into the hall. The doors closed behind her. Every eye turned toward her. Lord Marcus, the oldest member of the royal council, watched carefully. He had served 3 Alpha Kings. He believed deeply in tradition. To him, the kingdom survived because everyone understood their place. The Alpha King led. The Luna supported. The council advised. That was the order he had protected his entire life. Noah looked toward the council, then toward Ava. Before he could speak, Lord Marcus stood. Your Majesty. The entire room became still. Noah looked at him. Lord Marcus continued. Before this ceremony begins, the council requests clarification. A small tension entered the hall. Ava remained calm. Noah knew that voice. It was the voice of tradition. The voice that had caused so much pain without ever intending to speak. Lord Marcus looked toward Ava. The Luna's return is important for the stability of the kingdom. But the role of the Luna has always been clear. She stands beside the Alpha King. She supports his decisions. She represents unity. He paused. But the Luna does not command the kingdom. The words were polite, carefully chosen. But everyone understood what they meant. Ava could wear the crown. She could stand beside Noah. She could be admired. But she could not truly influence the decisions of the throne. The same old pattern. The same invisible boundary. Noah looked at Ava. He remembered the renewal feast. The night she removed the crown. The night everyone thought she was leaving because of another woman. But the truth was deeper. She had not walked away because Catherine sat beside him. She had walked away because she realized nobody had asked what she wanted. Nobody had asked what she thought. Nobody had asked whether she was hurting. Noah lowered his eyes. He finally understood. The wound was never created in one night. It was created through hundreds of small moments. Moments when he made choices for her. Moments when he believed he knew better. Moments when he loved her but forgot to listen. Ava looked at Lord Marcus. Her expression remained peaceful, but her voice was clear. Then perhaps the role of the Luna has been misunderstood. A quiet reaction moved through the hall. Several nobles looked surprised. Ava continued. A Luna is not valuable because she stands beside the throne. She is valuable because she carries responsibility with the kingdom. Lord Marcus frowned slightly. Respectfully, Lady Ava, tradition exists for a reason. Ava nodded. Yes, tradition exists because someone once believed it was necessary. She paused. But tradition should protect people, not silence them. The hall became completely silent. Noah felt those words deeply, because he knew they were true. Ava was not challenging the kingdom. She was asking the kingdom to remember why it existed. Lord Marcus turned toward Noah. Your Majesty, is this your position? A simple question, but it carried enormous weight. The old Noah would have answered immediately. He would have protected the structure. He would have ended the discussion. He would have spoken as king. But this time, Noah looked at Ava. Not because he needed permission, because her answer mattered. Then he looked at the council. And everyone waited. The Alpha King had to choose. The crown, or the woman who made the crown meaningful. Noah finally spoke. This is not my position alone. The council members exchanged confused looks. Noah continued. Because this decision should never have belonged to me alone. Ava looked at him. A small change appeared in her eyes. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But recognition. Because those words were new. For the first time, Noah was not speaking for her. He was creating space for her. Lord Marcus remained silent. Noah walked down from the throne. He held the moon crown in his hands. Then he stopped before Ava. The entire kingdom watched. Everyone expected him to place the crown on her head. Everyone expected the old story to return. But Noah did something unexpected. He lowered the crown. And he admitted the truth. Before I return this crown, I need to admit something. The hall listened. I thought losing the crown was the thing that hurt you. His eyes met Ava's. I was wrong. Ava remained still. Noah continued. The thing I took from you was not a title. It was your voice. The silence that followed was heavier than any applause. Because for the first time, the Alpha King had spoken the truth. Not as a ruler. As the man who had finally understood what he had lost. The hall remained silent after Noah admitted the truth. The nobles had expected a royal announcement. They had expected a beautiful moment where the moon crown returned to its rightful place. But instead, they witnessed something far more unexpected. They witnessed a king admitting that he had failed. Noah Bennett had spent his entire life learning how to appear powerful. A king could not hesitate. A king could not show weakness. A king could not admit that he had made mistakes. But Ava had shown him something no battle ever taught him. Real strength was not hiding failure. Real strength was facing it. Lord Marcus remained standing near the council table. His expression was calm, but his eyes showed concern. Your Majesty, no one questioned your feelings for the Luna. But a kingdom cannot be guided by emotions alone. Noah looked at him. It is not about emotions. Lord Marcus nodded slowly. Then what is it about? Noah looked toward Ava. It is about whether the person standing beside the throne is truly allowed to stand there. The words created a wave of silence across the hall. Noah was not defending Ava as the woman he loved. He was defending her as the Luna of Silvermoon Kingdom, a position she had earned long before the crown touched her head. Lord Marcus looked at Ava. Then perhaps the Luna should explain what exactly she believes her role should be. His voice remained respectful. But the challenge was clear. Ava understood immediately. This was not only about her. This was about every person who had ever stood beside power and remained unheard. She stepped forward. For many years, I believed being Luna meant carrying the responsibilities of this kingdom quietly. She looked around the hall. I believed my role was to support the Alpha King, to comfort him, to stand beside him when the kingdom needed strength. She paused. And I still believe those things matter. Noah watched her carefully. Because Ava was not rejecting the role of Luna. She was redefining it. But support does not mean silence. Her voice became stronger. A partner does not exist only to agree. A partner exists because two people can see what one person cannot. The room remained quiet. Lord Marcus looked thoughtful. But tradition has kept this kingdom stable for generations. Ava nodded. And tradition has also changed throughout generations. The council members exchanged uncertain looks. Ava continued. There was a time when people believed only warriors could protect a kingdom. There was a time when people believed only bloodlines mattered. There was a time when people believed a Luna only needed to stand beside the throne. But kingdoms survive because they learn, not because they refuse to change. Noah felt those words deeply. He remembered every time Ava had offered advice. Every time she had noticed problems before anyone else. Every time she had quietly helped him carry the weight of the kingdom. He had never questioned her intelligence. That was the painful truth. He had simply forgotten to give her the chance to be heard. Lord Marcus looked toward Noah. Your Majesty, if the Luna receives this level of influence, then the balance of the throne changes. Noah answered without hesitation. Yes. The answer surprised everyone. Because he did not deny it. He did not protect the old system. It should change. The room became tense. Lord Marcus stared at him. You understand the consequences. Noah looked around the hall. I do. For the first time in many years, the Alpha King sounded completely certain. A kingdom built on silence was not truly stable. It was only quiet. And quiet was not the same as peace. Lord Marcus slowly sat down. The meeting ended without a final decision. But everyone understood something important. The old order had been challenged, and the Alpha King himself had opened the door to change. That night, Ava returned to her chambers. The moon crown rested on the table. She looked at it for a long time. A part of her still remembered the woman she had been before. The woman who smiled whenever Noah was too busy to notice. The woman who believed patience could solve every problem. The woman who thought sacrifice was proof of love. She remembered the renewal feast, the music, the lights, the moment she entered the hall and saw Catherine sitting beside Noah. But the memory that hurt the most was not Catherine. It was Noah. It was the moment he saw her, standing there and did nothing. He did not walk toward her. He did not explain. He did not ask what she felt. That was the moment Ava understood something painful. She was never afraid of losing the crown. The crown was only silver. It could be replaced. What broke her heart was wearing the crown while still feeling invisible beside the man she loved. Ava touched the edge of the moon crown. She did not hate it. That surprised her. The crown was not the enemy. Noah was not the enemy. The real problem was believing that love alone could replace respect. A quiet knock came from the door. Ava turned around. Noah stood outside. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The old Noah would have entered immediately. He would have explained everything. He would have tried to repair the damage with words. But this time he waited. Ava noticed. "You are different." Noah lowered his eyes slightly. "I am trying to be." The honesty in his voice made her pause. He entered slowly. Not like a king entering his own chamber. Like a man entering someone else's space. "I wanted to apologize again." Ava remained silent. "But I know apologies are not enough." Noah looked at the moon crown. "I thought returning it would show you that I chose you." His voice became quieter. "But now I understand something. You were never asking me to choose you over the kingdom. You were asking me to stop making you feel separate from it." Ava looked at him. That was closer to the truth. Noah continued. "When Catherine sat beside me at the feast, I thought the problem was the situation. I thought if I corrected the mistake, everything would return." He shook his head. "But the mistake started long before that night." Ava listened quietly. "I made decisions for you because I thought I was protecting you. But maybe I was protecting myself." Those words surprised her. Noah looked directly at her. "Because if I made every decision, I never had to face the possibility that I might be wrong." Ava lowered her eyes. For the first time, she saw not a king defending himself. She saw a man honestly facing his failures. But healing was not the same as forgiveness. And Noah knew that. "I do not expect you to forget," he said softly. "I only want the chance to prove that I can do better." Ava looked at the moon crown. Then she looked back at him. "The chance is not yours to request." Noah accepted the words. Because he understood. The choice had to belong to her. The next morning, the council summoned the Alpha King. A decision had been made. The Northern Territories were facing a serious crisis. The council wanted a traditional response. A strong response. A response where the Alpha King would take complete control. Noah read the report carefully. Then he looked toward Ava. Because this time, before making a decision about the kingdom, he asked the person who had always been standing beside him, "What do you think?" And for Ava Reynolds, that question meant more than any crown. The Northern Territories had always been the foundation of the Silvermoon Kingdom. They protected the borders. They controlled important trade routes. They provided resources that supported thousands of families across the kingdom. But in recent months, tension had grown between the northern governors and the royal court. The governors believed their concerns were being ignored. The royal council believed the governors were becoming too demanding. Two sides were slowly moving further apart. And now the Alpha King had to decide how to respond. The old Noah Bennett would have chosen the fastest solution. He would have gathered his generals. He would have created a strategy. He would have delivered an order. Everyone would have followed. That was how he had ruled for years. Noah opened the report and read it carefully. His first instinct was already clear. He wanted to give a decision. He wanted to solve the problem immediately. He wanted to do what he had always done. Then he stopped. For years, he believed leadership meant having the first answer. But now he understood something different. A king who never listens will eventually rule a kingdom that no longer speaks. He looked toward Ava Reynolds. "What do you think?" The question was simple. But inside the council chamber, it carried a meaning that everyone understood. The Alpha King was not asking his Luna for approval. He was asking for her judgment. Several council members looked surprised. Lord Marcus remained silent. He watched carefully. He wanted to know whether this change was real or only a temporary reaction to recent events. Ava took the documents from the table. She studied the reports carefully. The room waited. She did not rush. She did not try to prove herself. She simply listened and thought. Finally, she spoke. The northern governors are not only asking for resources. They are asking whether the royal court respects them. Some council members frowned. One advisor immediately responded. They are challenging the authority of the crown. Ava looked at him calmly. Or they are asking whether the crown remembers the people it protects. The room became quiet. Noah watched her. This was the first time many people in the council had truly heard Ava speak about matters of the kingdom. They had known her as the Luna. They had known her as the woman beside the throne. But they had never truly listened to her thoughts. Ava continued, "If we answer every concern with force, we may win the argument. But we may lose their trust. A kingdom cannot survive only because people fear its king. It survives because people believe in him." The words remained in the chamber. Noah felt them deeply, because he knew those words were not only about the northern territories. They were about his relationship with Ava. A person could obey power, but they could only trust respect. Lord Marcus looked at Ava. "Your solution sounds reasonable, but difficult decisions require authority." Ava nodded. "Authority without understanding creates distance. Understanding creates loyalty." The older advisor studied her carefully. For the first time, he did not see a woman challenging tradition. He saw someone trying to strengthen the kingdom. The discussion continued for hours. Ava presented ideas. She suggested sending representatives to listen directly to the northern families. She proposed a new system where local leaders could share concerns before conflicts grew. She did not try to replace the Alpha King. She tried to complete him. And Noah noticed something important. Ava had never wanted his throne. She had only wanted a place where her thoughts could exist. When the meeting ended, the council members left slowly. Some remained uncertain. Some were impressed. But none could deny that Ava had changed the conversation. That evening, Noah walked through the palace gardens. He found Ava standing near the silver flowers beneath the moonlight. For a moment, he simply watched her. Before, he would have walked toward her immediately. He would have assumed she wanted comfort. He would have assumed he knew what she needed. But now he waited. Ava noticed him. "You are learning." Noah smiled slightly. "I should have learned years ago." She looked away toward the garden. Noah stood a respectful distance from her. "I spent my entire life believing that being strong meant carrying everything alone." Ava remained silent. "I thought if I made every decision, I was protecting everyone around me." He paused. "But I never asked whether the people beside me wanted protection or partnership." Ava looked at him. "That was the difference." Noah continued. "I wanted to be the king who solved every problem. But I forgot that a Luna was never meant to stand behind the king. She was meant to stand beside him." The words touched Ava, but she did not let herself forget the past. "Change is not proven by words, Noah." He nodded. "I know. It is proven by choices." For a moment, they stood quietly together. The distance between them was not gone, but it was smaller, and sometimes healing began with a single step. The following morning, the royal court received unexpected news. The northern governors had agreed to meet with the palace. But there was a condition. They wanted to speak directly with the Alpha King and the Luna together. The council gathered immediately. Some members were concerned. They believed allowing Ava to participate publicly would create uncertainty. Lord Marcus looked at Noah. "Your Majesty, if the Luna speaks before the northern governors, the entire kingdom will see that the traditional structure has changed." Noah looked at him. "Yes, it has." The room became silent. Lord Marcus continued. "And if the nobles reject this change?" Noah answered calmly. "Then they will have to understand why the change is necessary." For the first time, Noah was not defending Ava because she was someone he loved. He was defending her because she was right. The meeting with the northern governors arrived 3 days later. The grand hall was prepared. Nobles gathered along the walls. The governors entered with serious expressions. They expected a negotiation with the Alpha King. They did not expect what they saw. Ava stood beside Noah, not behind him, not beneath him, beside him, and she was not wearing the moon crown. The absence of the crown was noticed by everyone. Some wondered if it represented rejection. But those who understood the story knew the truth. Ava was not standing there without the crown because she lacked power. She was standing there because she no longer needed a symbol to prove it. Noah stepped forward. "The kingdom has heard your concerns. Today, We want to listen before we decide. The governors looked surprised. The Alpha King had never opened a meeting this way. Noah turned toward Ava. The floor belongs to you. Ava stepped forward. She remembered the day she entered the renewal feast. She remembered the pain. She remembered the silence. But this moment was different. Back then, she had stood before the kingdom because she had lost something. Today, she stood before them because she had found herself. She spoke about the northern territories. She spoke about families who felt forgotten. She spoke about cooperation instead of control. She spoke about a kingdom where every voice mattered. The governors listened carefully. The nobles listened carefully. Even the council members listened carefully. Because Ava was not asking for power. She was showing responsibility. When the meeting ended, the northern governors agreed to continue negotiations. The crisis was not solved by force. It was solved by trust. As the hall emptied, Noah looked at Ava. He wanted to say something. But this time, he did not rush. He waited. Ava noticed and smiled slightly. You are learning to listen. Noah looked at her. I am trying. And for the first time in many years, Ava believed that maybe trying was the beginning of something real. But the greatest challenge was still waiting. Because changing himself was one thing. Changing an entire kingdom was another. And soon, Noah would have to make a choice that would test everything he had learned. A choice between the traditions that built his throne and the woman who taught him what it truly meant to lead. The days after the northern meeting changed the atmosphere of the Silvermoon Palace. The kingdom was beginning to see something it had never seen before. The Alpha King was no longer making every decision alone. The Luna was no longer standing silently beside the throne. Together, they were creating a new way of ruling. But change was never welcomed by everyone. For every person who believed the kingdom was moving forward, there were others who believed the old traditions were being destroyed. The greatest resistance came from the royal council. They had accepted Ava's intelligence. They had respected her ability. But accepting her ideas privately was different from accepting her influence publicly. Lord Marcus understood this better than anyone. He had spent his entire life protecting the structure of the kingdom. He believed rules existed because they prevented chaos. He believed the Alpha King carried the final responsibility, and he feared that sharing power would weaken the throne. Several days after the northern meeting, the council gathered again. This time, the atmosphere was different. The discussion was no longer about a northern crisis. It was about the future of the kingdom itself. Lord Marcus placed several documents on the table. Your Majesty, the northern governors have accepted the new agreement. The result is successful. Noah nodded. But Lord Marcus continued. However, there is concern among several noble houses. Noah looked at him. Concern about what? The older advisor took a breath. They believe the role of the Luna is changing too quickly. The room became quiet. Ava sat beside Noah. She listened carefully. Some believe the Luna should advise the Alpha King privately. They believe public authority should remain with the throne. Lord Marcus looked directly at Noah. They fear the balance of power is changing. Noah understood immediately. This was the moment he had expected. The moment when his choice would have consequences. The old Noah would have found a compromise. He would have tried to satisfy everyone. He would have protected tradition while quietly allowing Ava some influence. But he knew now that half change was not real change. He looked around the council chamber. Then he spoke. The balance of power should change. Several council members reacted with surprise. Lord Marcus remained still. Your Majesty, you understand what you are saying. Noah nodded. I do. The Luna is not receiving power because she is my wife. She is receiving a voice because she is the Luna. Ava looked at him. Those words mattered. Because Noah was no longer connecting her value to their relationship. He was recognizing her value on her own. Lord Marcus lowered his eyes briefly. But if the nobles reject this decision, if they believe the traditions of the kingdom are being abandoned, Noah stood. Then I will explain why those traditions must evolve. The room became tense. A king challenging his own traditions was something no one expected. Noah continued. A tradition that protects the kingdom should remain. A tradition that prevents the kingdom from growing should be questioned. The words spread through the chamber. Some council members remained uncertain, but others began to understand. The Alpha King was not destroying the foundation of the kingdom. He was strengthening it. Later that evening, Noah and Ava walked through the palace courtyard. The moonlight reflected on the stone paths. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Noah stopped. Ava turned toward him. There was something different in his expression, something she had not seen before. What is it? Ava asked. Noah looked toward the palace windows. I spent years believing that being a good king meant having every answer. Ava listened. I thought people trusted me because I was always certain. But maybe people trusted me because they believed I would protect them. He looked back at her. And I forgot that protecting someone does not mean controlling everything around them. Ava remained quiet, because she knew this was the hardest lesson for him. Noah had spent his entire life being obeyed. Learning to listen was not a simple change. It was a complete transformation. I hurt you because I thought I knew what was best. Noah said, I made choices for you because I believed I was saving you from difficulties. He paused. But I was actually taking away your chance to choose. Ava looked away. The pain was still there. She did not want to pretend it disappeared. Noah understood. I know I cannot fix everything with one apology. I know trust does not return because I say the right words. Ava looked at him again. Then what will you do? Noah answered honestly. I will prove it with every choice I make from now on. The answer was simple, but it was the first answer that did not ask for something in return. Ava saw the difference. Before, Noah apologized because he wanted her back. Now, he was changing because he finally understood why he lost her. That night, an official announcement was prepared. The kingdom would gather once again. Not for a ceremony of returning the crown, but for a declaration of the new role of the Luna. Everyone would be watching. The nobles, the council, the people of Silvermoon. They would be waiting to see if Ava would accept the moon crown again. But Noah knew something important. The crown was no longer the most important part of the story. The choice was. On the morning of the ceremony, Ava stood before the moon crown once again. The silver metal reflected the sunlight coming through the window. She remembered the night she removed it. She remembered how heavy it felt in her hands. Not because it was made of silver, but because it carried every expectation she had been unable to escape. She reached toward it slowly. Then she stopped. A knock came at the door. Noah stood there. He did not enter. He waited. Ava noticed the small gesture. Months ago, he would have walked in. He would have assumed he belonged everywhere in her life. Now he waited for permission. You changed, Ava said quietly. Noah smiled sadly. I am still changing. She looked at him. That answer was more honest than perfection. Noah stepped closer only after she allowed it. He looked at the crown. Tomorrow, the kingdom will expect me to place this on your head. Ava remained silent. But I will not do that. Her eyes moved toward him. Noah continued. Not unless you choose it. Because I finally understand something. The crown belongs to you. Not to the kingdom. Not to tradition. Not even to me. The room became quiet. For the first time, Ava saw the man she had hoped Noah could become. Not a perfect king, but a man who respected her choice. However, the final test was still coming. Because the ceremony would not only reveal Ava's decision, it would reveal whether Noah was truly willing to let the entire kingdom see the woman he had finally learned to trust. The grand hall of Silvermoon Palace had never been filled with so much anticipation. Every noble house had gathered. Every council member had taken their place. The people of the kingdom waited outside the palace walls, eager to witness a moment that would be remembered for generations. They believed they were coming to see the return of the Luna. They believed they were coming to see the moon crown placed upon Ava Reynolds once again. But they were wrong. This was not a ceremony about a crown. This was a ceremony about choice. Noah Bennett stood before the throne. The moon crown rested on a silver table beside him. He did not hold it. He did not prepare to place it on Ava's head, because now he understood something he had failed to understand before. Love could not be proven by giving someone a symbol. Respect was proven by giving someone freedom. The doors of the grand hall opened. Ava entered. The room became silent. She wore the same midnight blue gown that had become a symbol of her strength. Silver embroidery reflected the warm golden light. Her chestnut brown hair rested gently over her shoulders. She looked calm. She looked powerful. And most importantly, she looked like someone who no longer needed anyone's approval. The nobles watched carefully. Some expected to see the old Ava, the woman who smiled beside the Alpha King, the woman who carried every responsibility without complaint. But that woman had changed. Not because she had become colder, because she had finally remembered her own worth. Noah looked at her. For a moment, he remembered the night she removed the moon crown. He remembered the silence after she walked away. He remembered the helpless feeling of realizing that power could not repair what his choices had broken. He could not command her heart. He could not order trust to return. He could only change. Noah stepped forward. The entire kingdom watched. Today, everyone expects me to restore the Luna's crown. He paused. But I have learned that I cannot restore something that was never truly lost. The nobles looked confused. Noah continued. Ava Reynolds never lost her worth. She never lost her strength. She never lost the right to stand beside this throne. The only thing she lost was the voice she should have always had. The hall became silent. Lord Marcus watched carefully. This was the moment he had feared. But it was also the moment he finally understood. Noah turned toward Ava. Before this kingdom, I want to make one thing clear. I will never again ask you to stand behind me. I will never again make decisions and call them protection. I will never again mistake silence for peace. His voice became stronger. You are not my shadow. You are not a symbol. You are my equal. He looked directly at her. I do not want a Luna who only follows my decisions. I want a Luna who challenges me when I am wrong. Because a king does not become stronger by always being right. He becomes stronger when someone is brave enough to show him the truth. The words spread through the hall. Some nobles looked surprised. Some remained uncertain. But Ava saw the truth in his eyes. Noah was not saying these words to win her back. He was saying them because he finally understood. Noah stepped aside. The position beside the throne was open. Not because Ava was being invited to take it. Because it had always belonged to her. Ava walked toward the moon crown. Every person in the hall watched. She reached out and touched the silver medal. The crown was beautiful. It carried the history of every Luna before her. It represented duty, responsibility, leadership, but it no longer represented her identity. She lifted the crown carefully. The entire kingdom waited. Some believed she would accept it. Some believed she would reject it. Some wondered if she would walk away forever. Ava looked at Noah. The man before her was not the same man who had watched her leave the renewal feast. He was not perfect. He still had much to learn. But he had finally done the one thing she needed from him. He had listened. Ava turned toward the kingdom. I once believed this crown made me the Luna. Her voice carried through the hall. I believed it gave me a place beside the Alpha King. But I was wrong. The crown never created my strength. It only revealed the strength that was already there. The people listened carefully. Ava continued. A Luna is not valuable because of what she wears. She is valuable because of what she protects, what she understands, what she contributes, and because she has the courage to speak when something must be changed. The hall remained silent. But it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence of respect. Ava looked at the moon crown again. Then she looked at Noah. This crown will never remind me that I belong to someone else. It will never define my worth. It will never decide whether my voice matters. She paused. It will only represent a choice I make freely. The entire kingdom watched. Ava looked at the nobles before her. She knew some still doubted her. She knew some would struggle to accept change. But for the first time, she was not standing there waiting for approval. She was standing there because she knew who she was. Ava closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the night she removed the crown. She remembered the pain. She remembered the woman who once believed love meant endless sacrifice. But she was no longer that woman. She was not choosing the crown because she needed a place beside the throne. She was choosing it because she had finally found her own place. Slowly, Ava placed the moon crown on her head. The hall erupted with applause. But this time, the sound was different. They were not celebrating because the Luna had returned. They were celebrating because they finally understood who the Luna had always been. Noah watched her with quiet emotion. He did not look at her like someone he had won back. He looked at her like someone he was grateful to stand beside. Later that evening, Noah and Ava stood together on the palace balcony. The kingdom stretched beneath them. The moon illuminated the streets. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was no longer painful. It was peaceful. Noah finally spoke. I spent years trying to become a king worthy of this crown. Ava looked at him. But I forgot to become the man worthy of standing beside you. A small smile appeared on her face. You are still learning. Noah smiled softly. I know. And this time, I want to keep learning. Ava looked toward the kingdom. Their future would not be perfect. There would still be disagreements. There would still be difficult decisions. Love did not erase challenges. But now they would face them differently. Not as a king and a symbol. Not as an alpha who commanded and a Luna who followed. As two people who chose each other every day. Months later, the kingdom noticed the difference. The council meetings changed. The Luna's voice was heard. The Alpha King listened. Decisions were no longer made by one person alone. The moon crown remained on Ava's head during royal ceremonies. But everyone knew the truth. The crown did not make her a Luna. Her wisdom did. Her courage did. Her voice did. And Noah Bennett finally understood the lesson that changed his entire reign. A king does not lose power when he listens. A king becomes worthy of power when he learns to listen. The greatest mistake he had ever made was not realizing that the woman beside him was the strength he had always needed. For the first time, the Alpha King did not ask his Luna to stand behind him. He asked if he could stand beside her. And that was the moment Ava Reynolds truly became the Luna she was always meant to be.